Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Jeffrey. This is of course the Inquisitive Universe and you are very welcome. In this one we're going to be talking about the Redmi 14C. Yeah, this is one phone I have been dawdling on for at least 2 weeks now because people have told me, Jeffrey Alpha, you've not said anything about the Redmi 14C. Well, I kind of have. When I talked about the problem with Redmi, that's one video I have done I think you guys should check out. I kind of have. I have touched on the Redmi problem in general, and the Redmi 14C is a symptom of that problem. And let me show you people why I am tired of Redmi series, the Redmi series, the Redmi C series, the basic Redmi series, and even the Redmi Note series to a large extent. Why I am tired of it. And you know what, let me not waste time, let's just get into it. Now, as usual, you people know the way I operate. The last videos I put, like all the Redmi phones side by side. I'm going to do the same thing here so that we would all see. Now, I have the Redmi 12C, the Redmi 13C, and the Redmi 14C. I have their specs in front of me so that we will look at them together, right? And see that there's been very little, if not no improvement for the past 3 years. For starters, let's look at the body. Plastic. All of these phones are all plastic. So of course, it's what to expect at this level. Let's proceed. Processor, SoC. It's been the same Helio G85, G85, and G85. Don't let the name fool you. They wrote Helio G81 there. It's G85. Now, if we're even going to go by the naming scheme, which I never advise people to do, it's a bit of a downgrade. Why would you be... I'll never understand how these people think. But hey, it is what it is. Forget about the name they wrote there. If you put the specs, if we bring out the specs and then you look at it, you look at the SoC for the CPU cores, I beg your pardon, for performance, you look at the GPU, you look at the RAM, you look at the benchmark scores. For all intents and purposes, the Helio G81 is the Helio G85 without mincing words. Let's proceed. Let's talk about software. Okay, so software has improved over the years, but software is software. Software will always improve. There will be new stuff here and there and whatnot. Redmi phones have moved from MIUI to HyperOS, so we're going to keep that there and proceed. Let's talk about the display. It has been the same display, the same IPS LCD 720p display. Okay, so they added 120 Hz this year. Those people who have handled high-end phones and low-end phones know that it's not the same 120 Hz. It's not the same flagship grade 120 Hz. That 120 Hz refresh rate is just there to pad specs. They increase the display a bit, but they tend towards larger phones. At this point, we may as well be carrying 7-inch phones around at this point. 6.88-inch IPS LCD. That's for the display. No improvement whatsoever. If you want, except you want to start pinching refresh rates, okay? But I'm not really a big fan of high refresh rates on low-end devices. Let's go on. Let's talk about cameras. Now, it's the same Samsung JN150MP camera. They've been using that since 2020. There's been no improvement there. It's the same 1080p video at 30 fps. There's been no improvement there as well. Okay, fine. We moved selfies from 5MP to 8MP to 30 megapixels. Okay, great. Not a problem. Still the same 4G, still the same Bluetooth 5 series. Okay, but they went up 5.3, 5.4. The same Wi-Fi 5. Battery remains 5000 mAh. In the Redmi 14C, they added 160 milliamperes per hour to it. Yay! Not. 18 watts fast charge. Hasn't changed since last year. So I look at this now and I'm like, what is there to celebrate? A new phone? These people do not have to make new phones every year. They do not have to, right? Because imagine if I had a Redmi 12C or I had the Redmi 13C, there is absolutely no reason for me to upgrade because what's there? It's still the same performance, it's still the same SoC, the same camera performance, it's largely the same display, barring 120 Hz refresh rate. It's still the same battery, it's still the same fast charge, with the exception of the 12C that has 10 watts. It is literally the same phone. In fact, if we want to get down to the meat of things, let's talk about the Redmi 10C. The Redmi 10C from 2022. That phone for me is the gold standard of Redmi C series devices. That is without missing any words. Because if you bring out the Redmi 10C, let's look at it. It's still the same plastic. Yes, this is a phone from 2 years ago. The same plastic. Yes, the 10C has a better Snapdragon 680 processor. These days, Snapdragon 680 is no longer what it used to be, but it is still a decent processor and it will outperform the Helio G81 on the Redmi 14C. The same display, 720p display, the same camera, and obviously anybody who is slightly knowledgeable about how smartphone photography works knows that processors are what helps the camera, and the Snapdragon 680 on the Redmi 10C actually has a better image signal processor compared to the Helio G81. So pictures from the Redmi 10C are going to be better than those from the 14C, and it's a 2-year-old phone for that matter, right? It's still the same 5000 mAh battery. Are you kidding me? This is a phone, the same 18 watts of fast charge. This is a phone from 2 years ago, from 2022. And a phone from this year, a new phone in quotes, cannot top it. It can't. It cannot do that. And somebody somewhere wants you to celebrate that, hey, the company released a new phone, let's go check. I am not even in the slightest bit impressed. This company has been standing in one spot since 2021. They haven't moved an inch. Okay, fine. For the Redmi series, you could argue 2022, but this company has stood still. It hasn't moved. It has been repeating phones from that year till now. So much so that other companies that we used to look at and call mediocre, other companies that we used to think were slagging and lagging, have caught up. Unfortunately, the average person on the street is only getting the Redmi hype now, and now they're all out on the street shouting, Jeffrey, how dare you say this about Redmi? Redmi hype faded in 2021/2022. I remember when the Redmi 10C came out and I was like, yes, Redmi is back. Actually, it was a false dawn. And to wrap up, I'm going to say this very quickly. If you're coming from the entry level, you're coming from the Redmi A series devices, you're coming from any low-end smart pop or whatnot, this is not a bad device. This is a very decent device, right? You understand that? If you're using an entry-level phone before, you can pick this up. It's a good device. But if you've used any of the Redmis before this one, if you've used the Redmi 10, the Redmi 12, the Redmi 13, if you've used the Redmi 10C, the Redmi 10C, the Redmi 12C, the Redmi 13C, there's basically no point. If you've used the Redmi Note device before, this is a drop into the abyss for you. Don't even try it. Okay? That's that. My name is Jeffrey. Thank you very much for coming. By myself, I cannot do a lot. I can't really do much. So it's people like you who view these videos, right, and share them, that helps us to pass this message across to, prospective buyers. Please help me pass the message across. It's your small actions like this that help small channels like mine grow. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers and have fun. Happy weekend.